Well, last weekend, our readings and our gospel were telling us to keep our eyes on the prize, meaning heaven. We were challenged to not worry about the temporary things of this world that only bring superficial happiness, rather that we should focus on what is eternal, on what is full of love, and what will truly satisfy our hearts and desires. This weekend, we're told by Jesus how to prepare for that day when the Lord calls us home to heaven, and ultimately how to prepare for the second coming of Christ. The parable of the good servant is Jesus' way of telling us to get our ducks in a row and prepare for heaven. So how do we prepare for heaven? We must grow in holiness. Being holy is not the same thing, though, as being nice. There is a distinction there, right? Jesus never said, "Be nice and you will get into heaven." That is not the only criteria. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying, right? Jerks are not good disciples of Jesus, right? But when we listen to everything that Jesus did say, we will automatically be nice, right? But if being nice is the only benchmark, that's not what Jesus left for us, right? Jesus calls us to do a whole lot of other things that then flow out of there as being a nice person. And so when we look at our gospel more closely, Jesus explains why those servants are blessed. They're blessed because their loins are girded, meaning they're dressed to impress. They're blessed because they're ready to open the door when the master knocks. And the servants who are blessed are doing the work of the master as they await the master's return. And so what does that mean for us? Well, are our loins girded? Are we dressed to impress, as it were? So really what it means for us is that if Jesus decided to come back today, is our soul cleansed from our sinfulness? Have we gone to confession so that those big sins in our life are wiped clean from God's memory? Have we done various acts of penance and fasting to keep ourselves from sinning more? See, friends, it's not enough to donate money or volunteer at the soup kitchen or to help out our neighbor. It's not even enough to show up here on Sunday alone if we're going to continue to sin and not even try to stop. Those are just works that are void of faith. And that's no bueno. That's no good. We have to make sure that our faith and our works are connected, so that because of our faith, those works pour out from them. And then they're really the works of Jesus. Jesus also talks about the servants being ready to open the door as soon as the master knocks. This is about prayer. Are we listening to the voice of God in our lives? Do we listen for the Blessed Trinity as we pray? Do we have a prayer life? We could probably even start there. If we pray, who's doing most of the talking? Is it me or is it God? Do we ever allow God to speak? If we do we give him enough time to speak? See, friends, God is always speaking to us. God is always coming after us and desiring a relationship with us. If we don't hear him, it's because we're not listening for the master's knock. Daily prayer absolutely must be part of our lives as disciples of Jesus. This is the only way that we will hear the Master knocking on our own hearts. And lastly, the servants are doing the work of the master while he's away. And so we are called to do the works of Jesus. And this is where those charitable and merciful works come from. Jesus has mandated us to serve the poor. And these are good things. But these works have to flow out from our daily prayer, from our reliance on Jesus in the Eucharist, and out of our humility that drives us to the sacrament of reconciliation. The most important work that Jesus asks us to do is evangelization. To bring more people here to the most important thing that we do as Catholics, celebrating the holy sacrifice of the Mass. Friends, this is how we prepare by growing in holiness, by celebrating the sacrament of reconciliation, praying every day, receiving the Eucharist as often as possible, with Sunday being the priority, and evangelizing our friends, families, and communities.